All right, if you've, ever been in the market for a golf rangefinder, you've undoubtedly heard the name Bushnell. They are the king of rangefinders for a reason. I have yet to use a bad Bushnell product, but they're a little bit more expensive than a lot of the other brands out there, and especially considering there are so many brands that are putting out excellent products these days, the choice to go Bushnell is, it's less of a no-brainer than it used to be. But today, with the release of the Tour V6 Shift, that might change back in Bushnell's favor. This is a $399 device that does pretty much everything you could want it to do, and it does it for $200 less than this, their flagship Pro X3, which costs $600. So the question is the V6 worth buying? Is it worth upgrading over something like a Precision Pro NX10? Or should you consider something that's similarly priced like the Cobalt Q-6? So if you're in the market for a premium golf rangefinder and you're trying to figure out how much do I need to spend, what do I need to buy, and is this Bushnell worth it? Keep watching, today's video is for you. All right, so with this review, we're gonna talk specifically about the Tour V6 Shift. I'm gonna tell you what I like about it, what I don't. We're gonna go through all the pros and cons, and then I will compare it to some of the most popular other rangefinders out there at a few different price points to let you know what you might be missing out on by getting this, what you're going to benefit from by getting this, to really help you figure out what the right rangefinder is for you. And if you're still not sure what rangefinder is for you, then I've got a quiz. It takes about 30 seconds. The link is below. You answer a couple questions about what you were looking for, and I will give you my best advice based on what I think is the best rangefinder for you. It's very quick. I think it's going to be useful. And so if you're still on the fence between a few models, you might want to go check it out. All right, so first impressions of the Tour V6. So the first thing you need to know is Bushnell generally has two models of rangefinders. They have the Tour series, which is their kind of mid-range one, and they have the more expensive Pro series. So the Tour V6 is the newest addition in the Tour series, and they come in two different models. It comes with the regular Tour V6, which does not include any slope features, and then there's this, the Tour V6 Shift, where for $100 more, you get all that built-in slope goodness. So that's the one we're going to be specifically talking about today, but you can assume if you were in the market for the Tour V6, it's pretty much going to be exactly the same, minus those slope features. And I guess I should also say, if you're totally new to the world of golf rangefinders, when I say slope features, what I mean is that you can shoot the distance and it's going to give you the exact yardage. It will then also give you a second yardage that is going to compensate for elevation. So if the green is way up above you, it's going to give you a plays-like distance. So if it's 150 yards actual, but the green is higher, it might say it's playing 155. Or if the green is down below you, it might say it's actually playing 145. So that is what those slope calculations do. So right out of the gate, you pick up the Tour V6 and it just feels good. Bushnell has been making rangefinders for a very long time, so they kind of know how to do it right. Some of the more budget models, some of the newer brands, their devices can feel a little bit cheaper. Well, even with the Tour series, which is not their highest end series, it feels really good in the hand. And the V6 in particular is the most well-built Tour series I have seen. The V5 was great, don't get me wrong, but the Tour V6 is the first Bushnell Tour series to have an IPX6 rating. So that's just one step below fully waterproof. And honestly, for what you're going to use on the course, I mean, it can be pouring down rain, this thing is still going to be fine. That is one of the differences you will find between that and the Pro X3, which is IPX7 and is fully waterproof. But with that comes some extra weight, some extra size, and so we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But all that to say, the build quality in this feels excellent. It's got some nice rubber texture elements, it's got high quality plastic around everything. The eyepiece is easier to adjust than some other Bushnell models I have seen, and overall, I'm really impressed with the build quality on this device. The ergonomics also feel great in your hand. This is kind of the right size for most people. I've often talked about how I like a bigger, a heftier rangefinder, something with a little more substance to it, and that's what you get with the Pro X3. But the Pro X3, I mean, it's big. It's even gotten wider than the outgoing model. It's heavy. And so for a lot of people, it's probably going to be overkill. I think most people are going to be a little bit happier with the size in this case. And you actually notice the size when it comes to cases as well. So the case with the Tour V6 is almost identical to the case with the Pro X3. The only thing that's different is it's just a little bit smaller. So you can see, to compensate for the more compact size, as a slightly smaller case, which is going to make everybody happy. Smaller, less weight, more compact, more portable. Bushnell also has just these kind of little attention to detail things. You know, you'll kind of see there's just a little arch right here which basically gives your thumb a perfect place to hold it. So it makes holding it and using it very comfortable. Whereas you take a device like the Precision Pro NX10, which is excellent, I really like this device, it's just kind of flat. It's not quite as ergonomic, which isn't that big of a deal, but it is a little bit more comfortable to hold this when it's got, that kind of little notch there. Performance and accuracy-wise, the V6 performs exactly how you would expect a $400 Bushnell device to work. It is great. All the distances seem very accurate, it's very fast. I love the fact that when you're using the rangefinder, pretty much all it gives you is the one number for distance. If you have slope, it will add that second number. There's a little battery indicator, but it's not cluttering up the viewfinder with a bunch of information you don't really need, and that's something that's important to me. Also, I'm gonna say this is tied for the very best jolt or vibration function I have used on a rangefinder. So essentially what that's gonna do is when you range a flag and it knows that it is locked onto a flag, it's going to vibrate. It's also going to display a red ring around the viewfinder, so you have a visual notification as well as a physical and tactile notification that you have locked onto the flag, so you can be 100% confident in the distance you're getting. I have found it to actually be even more reliable than the Pro X3. The Pro X3 is great, but I found that this pretty much locks onto the flags immediately, and if you hit something other than a flag, it's not going to vibrate. If you hit the flag, it locks on, it vibrates, it is great. Now the way this works is in contrast to some other cheaper models, and this is something you should be aware of. So some of the budget models like the Bluetooth Series 3 Max, any of the Precision Pro rangefinders, they have that vibration, but it doesn't do it necessarily when it is locked onto a flag. You can range any distance and it's going to vibrate. So it's a nice tactile experience, but it doesn't really give you any more confidence that it's accurately getting you the distance that you need. It's kind of an expensive feature to implement to have that flag lock technology, and the V6 has it. So when it vibrates, you know it's actually getting you the distance to the flag and not the tree behind you or a bunker in front of you. It's giving you that correct distance. So even though a lot of rangefinders, they market that vibration function, they aren't all treated equally, and that's something important to keep in mind. So I just kind of casually mentioned this is tied for the best vibration function I've used on a rangefinder. The other one is the Cobalt Q-6 Slope. So we're going to talk a little bit about that later and compare the two, because personally I think that might be the biggest competitor to this. That is also excellent when it comes to the accuracy of the vibration function. In fact, so much so, I have voted it my most accurate rangefinder that I've used in my Best Golf Rangefinders post, which I will link to below. So overall, let's say you're just looking at this in the vacuum, you want to spend $400 on a super reliable rangefinder that has pretty much all the features you're going to want. Look no further. This is it. It's fantastic. It's got the built-in magnet. It's got the slope on and off switch built into the logo, which I love. This is the best Tour Series Bushnell device I've ever reviewed. And honestly, I might think it might be the most well-rounded Bushnell rangefinder that they've ever created. And I say that even while I'm holding the more expensive Pro X3. So let's use that as a segue. Let's talk about some of the competing models to this, some of the pros and cons of each, so you can figure out which one's going to be right for you. All right, so if you know you want to go Bushnell, these are pretty much going to be your two options unless you find a sale on one of the outgoing models. So what are the main differences of this, and are they important enough to spend the extra $200? So one of them we already mentioned, the Pro X3 is fully waterproof. It's IPX7. So if you're the kind of person that throws this in your golf bag and you think you might accidentally let your golf bag roll into a lake or something, then maybe you want to spring for the extra waterproofness. But for most people in casual showers, rain, either of these are going to work just fine. Now for me, one of the things I like most, and this is one of the biggest drawbacks of the V6, comes down to magnification. So oftentimes, more expensive launch monitors have 7x magnification. So when you're looking through the viewfinder, everything just feels a little bit bigger, it feels a little bit brighter, the optics usually are higher quality to go along with that, and it really is a nice experience. You will find most less expensive rangefinders have 6x magnification. So this one only has 6x. And in fact, at $400, it's one of the more expensive ones to only have 6x magnification. So if you're just looking at both of these kind of on their own and not comparing them, you honestly would probably never notice. Not that big of a deal. But once you've used a 7x magnification one, I don't know, it hurts a little bit to go back to 6x. At least for me personally, I prefer the 7x magnification. One other thing to note about this is I've noticed that sometimes it's hard to get your eye to line up perfectly with the viewfinder. Have you ever had like an old pair of binoculars and you're looking through and you have to have your eyes like perfectly positioned to actually see through them? There's a little bit of that goes on with this. And you kind of learn how to adjust, you learn how to use it right, and after a round it really wasn't that big of a deal. But I did notice sometimes it was hard to actually get a clear view in this viewfinder when compared to some other rangefinders. All right, so a couple other big differences between these rangefinders. The Pro X3 has a red backlit display. So if you're someone who sometimes struggles with contrast and the black can feel a little too dark, this will light up red. It'll change colors based on the ambient light to give you the most clear view possible. The optics are a little bit better in this as well. It has that 7x magnification. It has the red LED backlight. And so everything is just a little bit clearer, a little bit nicer to use here. And one of the big features, the big selling points it has is the slope with elements. So it is going to take altitude, it is going to take some of the elements around you and the pressure, and it is going to give you a more accurate slope reading than just about any other rangefinder on the market. Now, it's usually going to be a difference of maybe a yard or two. Unless you're playing at like 10,000 feet elevation, then it's going to make a pretty big impact. But for me personally, I don't really use slope all that much because there's factors like wind that it's not taking into account that you're going to have to kind of adjust anyway. And so it's a cool feature, it's a nice marketing point, but it's not something that most people need. Also, one other difference is the Pro X3 has this kind of new slope on-off switch with like kind of a locking thing here. And I personally, you have to use two hands to use it. It might be nice for tournament players because it's, I guess, more secure. It's not like it's accidentally going to turn on the slope mode when compared to just this switch here. But I've never had this get flipped on accident. And personally, I kind of like the subtlety of it built into the logo. So I don't necessarily like this new feature on the Pro X3. So all of that to say, if you know you're going to go Bushnell, which one of these should you buy? Well, if you like the 7x magnification, if you like the higher quality optics, the red backlit display, and just the beefier overall build quality, weight, size, waterproofness, then it's probably worth upgrading to the Pro X3. This is one of, if not the very best golf rangefinders ever made. It is Bushnell's current flagship, but it comes with the flagship price at $600. For most people, if you're just looking for a rangefinder that's going to work really well and do the job and last you for a long time to come, this is the one to get. When you factor in build quality, accuracy, that fantastic vibration function I talked about, this is probably the best $400 rangefinder on the market. There are a handful out there that have a few different features and whatnot, but if you're just looking for the best all around from a reputable brand that's going to last you for a long time, this is the one to get. That being said, if you are willing to spend just a little bit more money, then things get a little murkier. So my current favorite rangefinder that I'm using is the Cobalt Q-6 Slope. Most of you haven't heard of Cobalt. I'll link to my review of it below, but it is a small direct-to-consumer rangefinder company that makes a phenomenal rangefinder. And one of the things I like about it is it has that 7x magnification that this one doesn't have. It also has the IPX7 rating, so it is fully waterproof. It does not have the built-in magnet. So if you are looking for something with a built-in magnet, this is definitely the one to go for. But the Cobalt does also have a red backlit display, and a very good one at that. The optics on this are incredible. So for 50 bucks more with the Cobalt, you're getting the red LED display, you're getting the better optics, you're getting that 7x magnification, and you're getting that vibration accuracy that is just as good, if not even a little bit better than the Bushnell. And that's a pretty compelling package. Not to mention they're a smaller company, so if you have a problem or if you need to get a hold of them, it's generally a little bit easier to go through customer service with Cobalt from what I've heard and what my experience is with both companies. On the other side of things, you might be thinking 400 bucks? That's more than I want to spend. I'm thinking more 200 to 300. Well, the easy answer would be to just downgrade and get the regular Tour V6. It's $100 less, comes in at $299, and the only thing you're losing is that slope function. And because of all the other things I said about how great this works, that's a pretty compelling deal, especially if you're not someone who needs or uses the slope feature. So that's kind of the obvious answer. But going a little bit further, you can get this, the Precision Pro NX10. This is still one of my favorite rangefinders, especially for the price. We have a coupon code on this you can use below to save 20 bucks. It's very fast, it's very accurate, it works great. You have this kind of cool personalization sleeve, so you can get different colors, you can get sports teams logos, you can get all sorts of stuff, which is kind of gimmicky, but also kind of cool. I like it. It's very accurate, it's very fast. I did mention that the vibration function, it really does it all the time. It's It's not just when it locks onto the flag, so it's not quite as good there. But overall, for around $280, this is an excellent device, especially if you're looking something that does have slope. So all that to say, when it comes to everything, when you factor in price, features, I think this is the most well-rounded rangefinder Bushnell has ever built. So for $400, you're getting just about everything that you need. There's maybe a few things you might want, like that 7x magnification, the red LED display, that you're not getting with this, but most people don't need it, and if you didn't know those were features, you probably wouldn't miss it. If those features are important to you, then you can definitely upgrade to the Pro X3, or for only $50 more, my recommendation would probably be the Cobalt Q-6. And if you're looking to save a little bit of money, I'd go with the NX10 or the regular Tour V6, not the Shift model here. So, with that said, I hope you found some value out of this. My name's Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing here at Breaking 80, where we do cool golf tech reviews and golf course reviews. If you got some value out of this, maybe consider hitting subscribe, do the thumbs up, all the things. And if you're still not sure which one to get, remember we've got that quiz below. We'll link it. It takes you like 30 seconds. You tell me what you're looking for, and I'm going to give you the best recommendation I can based on all of the rangefinders on the market. With that, I will see you on the next video. Have an excellent day. Peace.